This is Father Andrew Ritchie, and you're listening to Catholic Inspiration, a podcast from my website at studyprayserve.com. These homilies, presentations, and retreats form part of my ministry as a Catholic priest for the Diocese of Superior. And now I invite you to open your hearts to some Catholic inspiration. Today is Wednesday of the third week of Advent. Now our Gospel reading is the beginning of Matthew, chapter 1, verses 1 to 17. And I'm going to ask that you humor me, because this is the family tree of Jesus, as told by Matthew. The book of the genealogy of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham became the father of Isaac, Isaac the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Judah and his brothers. Judah became the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar. Perez became the father of Hezron, Hezron the father of Ram, Ram the father of Amminadab. Amminadab became the father of Nahshon, Nahshon the father of Salmon, Salmon the father of Boaz, whose mother was Rahab. Boaz became the father of Obed, whose mother was Ruth. Obed became the father of Jesse, Jesse the father of David, the king. David became the father of Solomon, whose mother had been the wife of Uriah. Solomon became the father of Rehoboam, Rehoboam the father of Abijah, Abijah the father of Asaph. Asaph became the father of Jehoshaphat. Jehoshaphat became the father of Joram, Joram the father of Uzziah. Uzziah became the father of Jotham, Jotham the father of Ahaz, Ahaz the father of Hezekiah. Hezekiah became the father of Manasseh, Manasseh the father of Amos, Amos the father of Josiah. Josiah became the father of Jeconiah and his brothers at the time of the Babylonian exile. After the Babylonian exile, Jeconiah became the father of Shealtiel, Shealtiel the father of Zerubbabel, Zerubbabel the father of Abiud, Abiud became the father of Eliakim, Eliakim the father of Azor, Azor the father of Zadok, Zadok became the father of Achim, Achim the father of Eliud, Eliud the father of Eleazar, Eleazar became the father of Mathan, Mathan the father of Jacob, Jacob the father of Joseph, the husband of Mary. Of her was born Jesus, who is called the Christ. Thus the total number of generations from Abraham to David is 14 generations. From David to the Babylonian exile, 14 generations. From the Babylonian exile to the Christ, 14 generations. Well, welcome to Matthew's version of the family tree. Now note here, there's another family tree about the lineage of Jesus. It comes in Luke's gospel, and that would be taken from Luke. It would be chapter 3. And in that particular chapter, which would be verses 23 through 38, Luke begins all the way back with Adam and Eve, our first parents. But Matthew, note this, begins with Abraham. Matthew's going to walk us through a lot of the high points of salvation history through the people of Israel. It's going to take us intentionally in these three waves, these three periods, if you will. The period from Abraham to David, David to the Babylonian exile, and then the Babylonian exile to the time of Christ. I want you to be very clear here. It's not entirely historically accurate. There's going to be some gaps in here. There has to be. But note here, Matthew is purposely putting a form on this thing. Three phases. From the time of Abraham to King David. King David to when everything fell apart in the exile. The return from the exile to the time of Christ. But when you read these names, and I purposely read the names, one, I like a tongue twister, but more importantly, if you read these names, you realize when you start to look up many of the names in salvation history and see how they're woven into the fabric of God's plan, you realize that these are very imperfect people. Sometimes they get it right. Sometimes they get it very wrong. But God works and meets them where they're at and continues to bring forth the plan that will lead to the Christ. I want to be very clear about this, that if you start to look at, like in Genesis, you've got everything from Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Judah. You've got Tamar, Perez. You've got all of those heavy hitters, a lot of those Bible stories. Then we got the book of Ruth. You hear about Boaz and Obed. We have 1 Samuel, where we talk about King David, his father Jesse. We can go into 1 Kings. We go into 1 and 2 Chronicles. You hear some of this from Ezra and Nehemiah and Haggai. In other words, as you dive into these names and you get the backstory as we have it in the scriptures for many of these people, friends, their lives were messy. And that's our takeaway. Because in the messiness of life, God continues to work. The great thing about the Old Testament is it doesn't gild the lily at all. It just puts it out there. Our human foibles, our weaknesses, our mistakes, our sins. The Old Testament just puts it right out. And we can take great comfort in the fact that in the apparent weaknesses and sins that are woven through salvation history, God does not give up. And God does not give up on us. And friends, then we take to heart that as God met the people in salvation history who led up to the time of Jesus, then we as followers of Christ can take hope that the Lord continues to walk with us, support us, meet us where we're at, but not let us stay there. The Lord invites us to continue to grow in holiness, faith, and love, that we continue to seek out God's plan. Yes, the Lord will meet us where we're at. The Lord's not going to be content to keep us there, but continuing to draw us into a life of grace, to bask in the light that shines from heaven. This family tree, then, reminds us that we all come from a family tree. Some of it good, some of it not so good. And yet here we are. Friends, as we look at this family tree of the life of Jesus, may it inspire us then to live our life for the Lord today. We're part of something bigger. Parts of it are messy, but God doesn't give up on us. Instead, God will meet us there and invite us to grow, that our tree will thrive, creating more witnesses and examples that lead people to Jesus. God bless you all. This is Father Andrew, and I hope this podcast inspires your faith. Now, if you found it helpful, please share it with a friend, and you can help me by leaving a rating and a review. I keep all my listeners in my daily prayers, and I ask for your prayers in return. God bless you, my friends.